You just got weaseled. We are building a weasel army, all right?
So basically, you know, there's a lot of law tubers on YouTube. Some of them know what they're talking about. Some of them do not. Some of them are farming. Some of them are literally more concerned about, you know, their ability to collect YouTube clout than they are about their accurately analyzing a lawsuit, right? Pisco, I think, despite, you know, being DGG's law tuber, it's kind of a funny thing to say now since DGG apparently hates his guts. But yeah, I mean, he was an orbiter, right? Pisco's, you know, analysis has been pretty good. I've disagreed with it in, you know, in certain places. But you know, obviously he's an actual lawyer and I'm not. Let's see what he has to say about the complaint. So, Ethan and his lawyers did an initial filing against Denims and Caseytron, who I think have the same lawyer. God damn it, I wish they would get the name off of there we go. Pisco it is going to be analyzing Denims' answer to the complaint, to Ethan's complaint, right? This is something that Ethan, you can see he's reacting to Ethan's celebration, I guess, calling this a flawless victory, saying that this shows that I guess her lawyer doesn't know what they're doing. Her lawyer is mailing it in, and that they really don't have any good answers because there's so many of these like no response requires or defendant denies allegations. There's so much in Ethan's mind that is quote unquote copy pasted, and therefore, you know, and the fact that they haven't countersued yet, I guess Ethan is taking as a victory, and Pisco's got a bone of contention to pick with that, actually.
This contains legal conclusions which no response is required. Just basically not saying anything. Number 16.
Basically, okay, no, it's not saying nothing. It's responsive answers selected based on the content in the actual complaint. So it's not saying nothing, you fucking idiot.
I deny. That's the Hassan form. Look at all this. Look at this copy pasting.
Oh my God, look at this. Look at this. Look at how he's making a big deal. Like, oh yeah, of course, it's an answer. Did you even check about what a typical answer looks like?
What's a Pisco? I think it's a Pokemon.
Before you made this entire video?
Each and every cause and action set forth fails to state facts sufficient to constitute a cause of action upon which relief can be granted. Copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. This is their defense.
Yes. Yeah. That's what happens. Read an answer.
That is essentially a confession, a concession.
It is a confession. It's a confession, he says. Because you didn't move to dismiss, it's a confession. Deranged. Now, you might win on everything because you have a strong case for infringement, but that doesn't mean that it's not any less soy for everyone to talk shit about me because I bring it up and because I actually do my job. And the only thing you get in response is, go suck on Hassan's nuts. Hey, folks, please like, comment, and subscribe.
Oh, HK says, Denims addressed this morning. She said she owes us to make it short and sweet and not waste to make the lawsuit short and sweet. So she's going to, HK, that sounds like Denims is going to move to, Denims' lawyers might be thinking of moving to dismiss, right? Dismiss with extreme prejudice, meaning that that they wouldn't be able to he wouldn't be able to bring the lawsuit back, which would be great. Because the real danger, like right outside of the danger to Denims and the danger to Caseytron and Frogan, which are very real, there's also a danger to the whole genre of React content, right? And the danger comes in the possibility of Ethan losing the case, the case going to trial. Ethan loses, and then he appeals. It goes to an appellate judge, and maybe that appellate judge is like, yeah, why are they using other people's content? You want to claim fair use? No, you're stealing people's content. You could get a boomer judge who doesn't fucking understand what they're talking about. You could easily get a boomer judge. The judge that they've got right now, kind of young looking. He's a sprightly 56 years old. So, you know, he's on the younger side for judges. Maybe he'll understand, tech matters a little bit better. But there's a real danger in somebody making setting a precedent in the appellate court that it's going to basically make it so that nobody can react to anything, right? That's the real danger. So hopefully you're right, HK, and Denims can get this shit dismissed. That'll cost her less. That'll maybe give her the ability to refund more of the donations. Is that what's like? Maybe refund like a percentage to everyone, something like that. What does a Pisco evolve into? We're finding out right now, right? We're finding out. The first thing you do with a Pisco to evolve it is separate it from DGG, and I guess Straighteraid and some others have kind of done the beginning of that, right? He's definitely one of the most hated people in DGG, along with Queeman and J-Stalk right now. But more and more people are probably turning on Destiny, so hopefully Pisco will be okay.
Make sure to check out my newsletter. Information is in the description. But I did want to just real quick comment on something I said on Twitter. You guys probably know what I'm referencing. So it's what I had to say about Ethan Klein's response to Denims' answer. And I said that I would, after Ethan Klein accused me of being like no better than this guy Mike from PA, I took an interest in this case. And I want to report on it. I want to talk about it. I want to give my legal commentary, especially because I think a lot of the legal commentary on this
still seems anti-Hassan for some reason. Yeah, I mean, he is a lib. He's definitely not a leftist.
Has been particularly biased. I, on the other hand, I kind of pride myself on giving even-handed criticism, fair criticism, always fair. And I like to do that. So I want to restate my position before we get into the actual debate, which is that it's a strong case for infringement. I've always said this, that I think the complaint is unhinged, notwithstanding that it's not dismissible, readily dismissible, because it states a claim upon which relief can be granted. And also that the initial rationale that Ethan gave, that somehow he was going to protect the React community by imposing a standard that would, for example, protect individuals from corrosive lawsuits from Sony and Disney, that argument or that purported motive did not hold water, wasn't true, was false.
This is not a healthy environment. And with people like Hassan reacting to entire TV shows on stream, my fear is that Sony or Disney comes along, sues everybody.
See, here's the thing. If that's true, then even that 3 seconds that you showed, which like there's something called the 3-second rule. Usually you can get away with showing a short clip of something that is copyrighted, right? That is one of the, factors of fair use is how much did you use. Generally, companies won't pursue you if you're just showing a short little bit, but the more lawyered up they are, the bigger that media company is, then the more you really risk that. So even Ethan's showing that 3 minutes of, look, if his shit goes through, right, and the case gets interpreted in the worst possible way, right, even shit like that, even those little this could have ramifications even beyond React content towards those streamers, not streamers, those YouTubers. They'll do a video about about Star Wars or something like that, and they're not showing you, like a 3-minute segment from Star Wars or anything like that. They're showing you like a little clip here, a little clip there, like as they're talking, they're doing a voiceover, and you're seeing little mini clips from like whatever series they're talking about, right? Even that shit could come under more scrutiny, because that is just a convention. That's just something that's developed. The fact that people on YouTube use, short little bits of copyrighted content, and the copyright holders so far have not pursued that. But, if a judge gives them license, gives them an idea that there's going to be zero tolerance, then, who knows what could happen. Kitchen Nightmares used to be reacted to a lot. Yeah, on Twitch. Instead of suing, they just released all the episodes free on YouTube. I didn't know that. They liked the engagement. That's smart. That's actually very smart, right? That's probably going to make them more money in the long term than suing everybody who reacts to that. Denim's answer wasn't copied. That's correct. Yeah, Pisco's going to get into that. This is a standard way to file an answer, right? Denim's lawyer's response is standard. It's what you'd expect from any competent attorney. Ethan's filing is fucking unhinged, right? To do a filing where you say, this is Hassan, and this is the Grand Mufti of Palestine talking to Hitler. Hassan is just like the Grand Mufti, right? I'm sorry, but that's not That's not very convincing. That's not going to, I don't think that's going to fly in a courtroom.
That's a devastating precedent that could endanger our entire field.
That's been my take. I think it's a pretty rational take. It's supported by the evidence. I provided additional commentary recently to sort of assess some of the purported defenses that Denims could raise. I've been frankly a little bit down on them because I don't know if they're the strongest possible doctrines that she could bring to bear based on like my knowledge of the statements made by Ethan. But those doctrines include abandonment, forfeiture, waiver, acquiescence, explicit and implied license. And we've talked a little bit about those doctrines and ways in which she might marshal a defense pursuant to those doctrines. So I've been following along. I've always had an interest in copyright, but the response has been unhinged as usual to what I think is a sober and even-handed analysis. And the response is something like, why are you focusing on this? So there's no actual dispute about anything I'm saying. It's just a question about why are you focusing? It's about focus. Why are you focusing on this? Well, I'm going to focus on things that people say, about this case. And if Ethan Klein chooses to make a preposterous video in which he says what his intent is, which is to protect the React community, and that is playing in people's heads as that this is a reason why we should support the lawsuit because legally it could protect the React community at some point, I'm going to be like, hey, as a legal commentator, given the factors in fair use analysis, given what a judge is likely to do, given the litigation realities, this is very unlikely to result in precedent, which is limited in the way that Ethan Klein suggests. That's called legal commentary. That's called giving a take on law and a perspective. And that perspective is worth listening to because I'm correct. And everyone who I've talked to who comes on looks like a fool when they try to dispute that notion that, oh yeah, it's just limiting to intentional siphoning. So Ethan Klein releases a video on this topic. If Ethan Klein says,
I love how the lawsuit's paperwork is basically an outline on his gang stalking delusions. Yeah.
that my legal analysis is faulty.
I mean, like, this is the whole thing, right? What is the thing that they say about, like, Hassan's test is always the bus driver test. If there's something that you're obsessing about online, if you can't explain, if you couldn't explain, you know how when you get on the bus, you don't have much time, right? You get on the bus, you scan your card or you put your money, which you hopefully have like ready to just go, you throw your money into the into the thing at the front of the bus, right? And there's somebody right behind you that also wants to do that. The bus driver wants to get going so that they're not late. And like, right. So that little time, you can maybe say to the bus driver something like, I don't know. Like, right, there's you got a short little window of time. If you can't explain a concept or a thing online to a bus driver, then that is some terminally online shit that nobody's going to have time for, right? Ethan's whole thing about like, why is Hassan bad is like, he would have a very angry bus driver and a very angry group of people standing behind him, right? It does not pass the bus driver test. Has Pisco said if he watched Denims' React video? I think, Joel, good question. I suspect that this video, let's see, 12 hours ago, when did Denims stream? I'm guessing that this video came out at the same time that Denims streamed today, and that would mean that it was probably recorded the night before or earlier. So I don't think that Denims' React video was up yet. Maybe we'll take a look at it if it's up. Has one of the Denims clip channels posted it? Denims' answer is smart. The burden of proof is absolutely on Ethan's lawyer. Ethan complaining about the answers not being an explanation or a storyline. Miller's what Baldoni did too. Oh, I didn't follow the Baldoni thing. Gave the judge 250 pages of his storyline to read. Well, look, if the first 225 pages don't convince the judge, surely the last 25 pages will, right? That makes sense, actually.
Why wouldn't I keep an eye on this case? Keep an eye on what he's talking about. Why wouldn't I analyze whether his statements are accurate and correct? What would be wrong with that? Should I just not cover this anymore? I shouldn't cover this anymore because...
Oh, did he go over the original Wait, oh, do you know what I don't think he did. I don't think he did. Yeah, way back when we covered Pisco's analysis of the case, his original analysis, right? I think was he reacting to Ethan's stream, or maybe he was just reacting to the document, right? And his analysis was that it seems like a pretty good case, right? Good chance for Ethan to win this, right? He questioned Ethan's motives because that is bullshit that does not wash, right? He's not beating. In other words, Pisco was, he's not beating Pisco said he's like not beating the misogyny allegations on this, right? There's no real there's nothing you can say that it's like, Frogan, Casey-tron, and Denims should be sued, but these other people should walk free, should have no problem, right? But he did say that he thought that the facts, the case law, everything that exists on this was leaning towards Ethan's side. I questioned that because I thought, the one thing that he's not doing was going over Denims's, what was it, like 5 hour? How long did Denims take? Yeah, the content nuke is like, what, 2 hours? And is that right? And Denims's reaction was more than twice that length, right? And so, what I think somebody even in Pisco's chat, I think it was the DGG chef, Lycan himself, right? Destiny chef said that without looking at the nature of the actual reactions, you really can't tell if it's fair use or not, right? Pisco was, I think, making some assumptions that just you don't really, it's a lot to look at. I will admit that's probably why Pisco didn't react to it, because it is, but also the fact that it's so long, the fact that content goes on for so many hours, so many more hours than Ethan's content nuke, kind of shows you there's a lot of transformative going on.
Because why? What's the argument there? And when he says some profoundly incorrect things about basic civil procedure and about the litigation practicing and lawyering, I'm not supposed to comment on it. We're supposed to just go over and be like, yeah, this is ignore it. Why should I ignore it? So I'm gonna walk you through this in the next 10-15 minutes. Not super long video. We'll put it on 1.25, and I'll give my legal analysis of why he's incorrect and what he's incorrect about. So let's put it on 1.25.
Guys, another video. Today we'll be discussing Denims and Casey-tron's response to my lawsuit, which was due on Friday of last week. They did respond, and I'm going to go over it for you guys now. And I'm just going to put it this way. This is just a total flawless victory for us. That's how I'm seeing it, and I'll explain why. So here's the filing, and I'm only going to show Denims because they have the same attorney, and Casey-tron's was nearly identical to Denims. So I'm just going to look at hers.
So first off, painting this as a total flawless victory, it's an answer, okay? An answer in its very nature is not apt or not likely to result in great elaboration of one's defenses. It's very predictable why Denims didn't.
Wait, what is this, Sarah? If Ghislaine Maxwell did have digital identities connected to Reddit, then snark subs that specialize in digging might stumble upon those patterns. Getting rid of those groups could help rewrite history. I think Ethan's whole anti-snark project has a much bigger mission for you mean like beyond Ethan? That there's a kind of I don't know. I'm not super comfortable with the idea of Reddit as a reservoir of internet history, but there are, yeah, you're right. There are, snark sites are pretty good at digging, and if somebody's trying to hide something, they'll dig it up. But I wonder what that bigger mission could be.
Not pursue a motion to dismiss here. It's because the complaint states a claim upon which relief can be granted. We'll get into some of the other things that Ethan says here, but the mere fact that someone has answered a complaint is not an admission of fault at all. It's not.
Ooh, Dan Saltman's larger motives. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, they definitely established a connection between Ethan and Saltman, and
necessarily that the defense is weak. Now, I happen to think it's a strong infringement case, But just because someone chooses not to do a motion to dismiss, it doesn't mean that the case is strong or the case is not frivolous. Now, again, I'm not saying the case is frivolous, but that's just because someone answers as opposed to choosing to do a motion to dismiss doesn't entail that. Especially this case where if you accept the facts of the complaint and you're supposed to take all reasonable inferences in favor of the non-movement, of the person pursuing the complaint, if you take those factual inferences, of course it states a complaint upon which relief can be granted. So it's not super surprising. I haven't heard of any jurisdictional flaws about what, I think that Denims lives in California, and so presumably should be subject to general personal jurisdiction there. And of course, the federal courts have jurisdiction to hear copyright infringement claims. They probably selected the right venue, and so
Play something is arguing more for like looking at the subreddits for the truth, but also for the lies that they tell. Yeah, you can sort of gauge like bias via that. Like something that's like something that appears on the Vosh subreddit might not be super trustworthy. At least on certain issues. They said Ghislaine was instrumental to the creation of Reddit. Oh, I didn't know about this. Okay. And was, we need to cover that story when we get a chance, was a constant mod presence on the platform except for being absent for her parents' funeral and stopping completely after her arrest. I only trust our Cyclops was right. I don't know enough about Reddit to know the reference. You can tell when subs are being brigaded. If you've been on there for some time, watched Vosh a while ago. He was fun to watch, but didn't watch for long, a few months before the Loli drama.
I'm not aware of any defects that would...
Oh, it's an X-Man? Oh, Cyclops was right. Is an X-Man reference?
The other basis for...
Cyclops is the guy that has the like laser thing, right? He's got the visor that's like with like one eye and it can shoot lasers, I think.
Dismissal, I think that they were all served correctly. So, yeah, I don't know why we should read into that, other than the fact that the complaint states a case upon which relief can be granted.
It represents both. So basically what you'll see if you scroll this is they're answering the complaint, and you're just going to see a lot of copy paste. Defendant deny.
Yeah, that is not at all strange to do copy paste, deny allegation, deny this, lack sufficient knowledge to make a claim as to this. This contains legal conclusions. The document speaks for itself. These are form documents. When you do an answer, you have to pay close attention. Thank you so much for the donation. You have to pay close attention when you're drafting the document to make sure that you're not, because these are legal. They have legal consequences. So someone is carefully going through the complaint and looking at what it says and making the correct form statement to apply to the respective paragraph. So it's carefully done. You have to be very careful not to accidentally admit stuff, but the actual substance of the answer is going to be form. It's going to be just copy paste. That is not surprising at all. And for him to, just so you know, he is trying to convince his audience at this point, and this is where a legal commentator might step in and talk about something and say, actually, and correct the record. He's trying to convince him that, oh my God, they copy pasted. Hey, copy pasted, everybody. Oh my God. So that's what I'm doing here to say, hey guys, it's actually not crazy. This is actually, you shouldn't read into the fact that it's copy pasted to see that they're lazy or something, which is the kind of implication that he wants to give. Is there something wrong with that? Is there something wrong with a legal commentator taking a look at some statement or some conclusion that someone else, perhaps a layman, is saying and saying, hey, you can't actually read into that. That's actually not a big deal. What's wrong with that? You tell me.
Paragraph 6 contains legal conclusions with no responses required. Lots of copy pasting. It's all very just formal kind of.
It's all very formal. Yeah, it's a legal document.
Yeah, unlike your unhinged piece of like fan fiction, Ethan.
It's a responsive pleading. No shit, it's a little formal.
Saying as little as possible. Answer
saying
paragraph.
As little as, yeah, why would you say more than what is absolutely necessary to say? Not everyone is like you, Ethan, is going to put pictures of Hitler everywhere when it's not needed. Why would you say more than you need to say? There's nothing wrong with this. None about this is surprising at all.
9 defendant lacks sufficient knowledge or information to form a belief. Essentially just saying we can't say.
It's like going and walking a deposition like, oh, why aren't you just answering more than the question that's asked?
Yeah. Crouchy says, I'm pretty sure my prior employment agreement was a lot of copy pasta. There's something called boilerplate, right? In terms of contracts, that for any kind of contract, there's like a standard expected, format that it would follow. Maybe some contracts are going to, contain unique provisions or something like that. But
why aren't you in a deposition just like saying random stuff? Why aren't you just elaborating in a more loose fashion as opposed to just answering the question that the person running the deposition has given you? Why don't you just just say everything you want all the time about all your shit? It just it shows and betrays such a lack of knowledge, and really it's misinforming.
Okay, this one says contains legal conclusions which no response is required. Just basically not saying anything. Number 16.
Basically, okay, no, it's not saying nothing. It is denying allegations or saying that they don't have a sufficient basis to form a conclusion, or saying that what the allegation in the complaint is a legal conclusion to which no response is needed. So it's not saying nothing. It's responsive answers selected based on the content in the actual complaint. So it's not saying nothing, you fucking idiot.
They start to move on to defendant denies the allegations. Defendant denies the allegations. They copy pasting.
Yeah. As is your want, as you'd like to do, as you would want to do in a responsive pleading, as you would do in an answer.
I deny. That's the Hassan form. Look at all this. Look at this copy pasting.
Oh my God! Look at this. Look at how he's making a big deal. Like, oh yeah, of course, it's an answer. It's an answer. Do you not know what an answer is? Did your lawyer not tell you that before you? Did you even check? Right? Did you even check about what a typical answer looks like before you made this entire video? That's a question you have to ask about, like, what is your actual your process here? Do you check what's typical before you say, oh, this indicates da-da-da-da-da?
It's the same answer between 22 and...
It's the same. Oh my God. Maybe it's because the answer is the same to all of those allegations.
Fucking... Is it the same between 22 and 45, which says answering paragraph whatever 32 in this case.
God.
Defendant lacks sufficient knowledge or information to form a belief concerning the truth of the factual allegations contained there within. On that basis, denies such allegations. So they copy pasted that monster.
Oh my God. They copy pasted
of a claim. 22 to 24. This is essentially an exercise in saving money, and
it's an exercise in saving money. Can you imagine? So he's saying that they're being cheap for copy pasting.
Oh yeah, the Weekly Patriot is this Substack. Yeah, that's
the same answer where it's merited in an answer where it's a form document anyway, where it's, by the way, it's not, because the lawyers who had to do this had to spend hours looking at the complaint and correspondingly giving the answer for each of the paragraphs. And you certainly didn't make it easier because your fucking paragraph numbers are unhinged and you include multiple sub A, B, C, sub, and then like little 1, little 2, little 3s. So they took a lot of time and hours to make an answer. An answer doesn't take, like, this took hours and hours and hours of work. It just is not doing a narrative form because it's an answer.
Cutting every corner possible and doing as little as possible, right? That's
doing as little as possible. That's what we characterize it. Doing as little as possible.
Happening
Someone
here.
who has
Wait, what does this Ethan's crash out begin when Hassan didn't even say thank you? Is this like a JD Vance, Volodymyr Zelensky reference?
Fucking clue about what a responsive pleading is supposed to look like.
Continue on, more copy pasting, paragraph 46 to Jesus.
Yeah, this is when your lawyers, I think, inappropriately included a memorandum of law about fair use where you were making a complaint. All right. You were making a complaint and your lawyers made a memorandum of law on fair use, which I think is inappropriate given the context that it's a pleading. And so, yeah, in that entire section where it's a memorandum of law.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That in the answer, because it's not an allegation of fact.
To 63 says identical things. It just says paragraph 46 contains legal conclusions to which no response is required. And they copy paste that. And then they move on to copy pasting here. 65 to 70, defendant denies the allegations. 71, defendant denies the allegations.
He's like, oh my God. All he says is he denies the allegation.
So this is essentially what this continues to be. They really don't say anything in this. Everything is like, I don't.
They do say stuff. They're denying your allegations or specifically responding to it.
No, we don't know. We can't. How can we conclude? We don't know. Just that repeated and copy pasted like 100 times. Here's when they have now the ability to set their case forth.
They have the ability to set their case forth in narrative form. It sounds like someone who's never fucking had an answer before, doesn't know what an answer is, or just as a layperson probably shouldn't be commenting on it. It's supposed to, or it's not good practice to, in your answer, do like a narrative about why this fulfills fair use or doesn't fulfill fair use. It's not what the document is for. And this is perfectly fine. Stating those affirmative defenses is so that you don't waive them. And yeah, not all of them are going to be applicable, but you just include them so that you don't waive them. It is not an opportunity to just do a narrative on why you're innocent and why you're the best person ever. That's not what this is.
To explain their defense, they have claimed that our lawsuit is frivolous. Hassan has claimed it. They have claimed it. Everybody who is trying to support them, Ian Idubs has claimed it. They say it's frivolous.
By the way, not me. I don't, like, I'm not here to support one side or the other in with respect to like some partisan. I don't have some partisan aim here to support Denims or to some grifting end. I'm just telling you the truth after you slandered me, or not, I don't want to say slander, smeared me as a Mike from PA guy. The only dog I have in that fight is, I guess, some pent up.
Wait, sorry. As a Mike from PA guy, because because of Mike's lawyer thing. Yeah. I guess what was the deal? Mike graduated from law school but didn't pass the bar or something. And he refers to himself he ran for office in Pennsylvania and referred to himself as a lawyer, and there's some question, whether he qualifies having the academic credentials but maybe not the certification. Is that what the reference is? That why he's for the record though, Pisco I think has been a practicing lawyer for like the last 4 years. Aren't the court filings of Ethan's? Oh God, yeah, they're super unhinged. They're everything that you're getting from Denims, right, is just bog standard. Like this is how you do a lawsuit, right? It's simple, it's clean, it's efficient. She's saying only what she needs to say, because chat, saying more than you need to say does not benefit you. It does not benefit you as a witness on the witness stand, especially if you are the defendant. And it does not benefit you if you are, in filing your lawsuit, right? It's just, I mean, I don't know the whole history around Mike. I just know that this is the kind of stuff that's been said about him. HK says, I'm a law engineer. Nice. We're going to combine. I'm actually a law engineer psychometrist. Those are my credentials. And I'm also a professional linguist as well, right? I use my tongue. Anyway,
feelings on you saying that. So that's the only dog I have in this fight, but I certainly don't have an interest right now to just help Denims.
Why then have you declined to do the minimum amount of work in your case?
So he describes the minimum amount of work is to elaborate in the affirmative defense section, even though he has no idea what he's talking about.
Explain it. Here.
That's the minimum amount of work. Not having any knowledge. That's his process, is just to say random shit on a stream without even to check, right? Even to check, is this what actually occurs in a responsive pleading? And everyone else has to act like this is totally normal, even though it's fucking not. And I'm tired of you guys pretending that it's wrong for me to comment on the legal stuff. Fuck that. This is the truth. I'm telling you the truth. And this is an idiotic reading of the pleading.
First, affirmative defense for fair use. Complaint and each and every cause and action set forth fails to state facts sufficient to constitute a cause of action upon which relief can be granted. Copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. This is their defense.
Yes. Yeah. That's what happens. Read an answer.
This is their answer on fair use. Plaintiff's claims are barred in whole or part by the equitable doctrine of unclean hands. I'll tell you, the only unclean hands here are yours, bucko. I resent that.
Is Pisco gonna go for the low-hanging fruit and make a Giardia joke here? Because if we're talking about unclean hands, I think that Ethan has demonstrated the fact that he has some very unclean hands.
That is actually a legal doctrine. I'm just being silly. Yeah, it's just copy pasting. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. So unbelievable they would do the normal thing that everyone does. It's unbelievable. Whoa.
The lack of effort that's gone into this. So that's what it is.
This does not indicate, in my opinion, a lack of effort. This is, and especially given that it said what I expected at the places I expected it to. This does not look like AI. This does not look like lack of effort. This took hours to make. Hours and hours.
Attorney, besides what's written here, the most interesting takeaways are these, and I'll tell you. Kind of as I touched on, one, they did the laziest, cheapest response.
Nope.
I'm not going to roll back that chat because I'm not trying to, like I said, this part of Ethan's punitive action against Denims and everybody else is to identify them by the government names and shit like that in the court document, right? So, but I did notice. Did you see that right there? Something was blurred. I'm pretty sure Ethan did not do the blurring, right? I'm pretty sure that wasn't a blur on Ethan's side. I'm guessing that must have been a blur on Pisco's side, but that makes me wonder, why wasn't the rest of it blurred? Anyway, I'm not trying to draw the worst thing you can do in a situation like this is draw more attention to information like that.
Wrong. Categorically wrong.
Failed to tell their story. They had a
They didn't have it. This is not answer is not for you to just tell your story. And it's also very it's, I think, kind of indicative of where his mindset is. I would say the complaint is definitely a place where you can tell a story, and it is a story that you're trying to tell in a complaint for sure. But he was expecting some kind of substantive legal response to his accusations, and it shows where his mindset is. His mindset is on the narrative. His mindset is on the story, in my opinion.
Chance to respond, and they did not take it. The biggest thing to me is they failed. They had the opportunity to file a motion to dismiss.
They did have the opportunity, but it would have been a fucking waste of time and money. It is not surprising that you're not going to waste time and money. Like, even if you make a shit ton of money, you're not going to waste time on a motion to dismiss when, yeah, it could be the case that your case is still frivolous. I don't think it is. Just to be clear, I don't think the case is frivolous. I think it's a strong case of infringement. But just because you survive motion to dismiss.
No, I'm not sure what Pisco means by that. I don't think it's frivolous. I think I'm assuming that what he's saying is that it's not like a case that necessarily will be thrown out immediately. I don't think that is to say that it's not petty, because I feel like Pisco has gone on the record as saying that, yes, it's very petty by virtue of his determination of who to sue, right? Which his explanation that he gave from that was not convincing, right? He's not beating the allegations of having chosen like 3 women that are hated by misogynistic guys all over the internet as his victims for this, right? Well, look, here's the whole thing. This case law is threadbare, right? So whether Ethan has grounds or not depends, I think, a lot on the judge, right? There is a chance, right? Especially given the unserious nature of the filing, that you know, or you know, look, the unserious nature of the filing portends a possibility that Ethan's lawyers will get sloppy again. You know, they're acting flamboyantly, right? They it's almost like he's doing a lot of the stuff for content rather than for like the efficacious pursuance of his copyright. You know, right? It's almost like it's more for content than anything else. So, you know, there is a decent chance, I think, that Denims could get this thing, you know, dropped with extreme prejudice, in which case Ethan would not be able to bring it back. But there's also the chance that they get a judge that just, you know, sees this and it was like, well, no, of course you can't use somebody else's copyright. Fair use sounds like a bullshit excuse here. Like, I think they're trying to violate this man's copyright, and you're just using a fair use as an excuse, right? And again, you know, it could have bad consequences for Denims and Casey-tron if the judge finds against them, and it could also have bad, more far-reaching consequences if the case goes to the appellate court and then potentially becomes a precedent-setting affair in its own right, much like Ethan's case where he was sued by the bold guy, Matt Haas.
It could just be that you plead a case that has sufficient factual, detailed allegations to state a claim. Doesn't mean that your case is not frivolous or the facts aren't there, or for whatever reason there's some legal doctrine as applied or on summary judgment you expect. But even you, right? I don't know if you filed a motion to dismiss in the bold guy case, but you did it on summary judgment. That's not at the motion to dismiss stage. A lot of the time, these infringement cases are very trivially going to pass over a motion to dismiss stage. And just saying that you get over the motion to dismiss doesn't mean that you win the case.
This is what you do when you believe you have a frivolous case. You're telling...
See, you don't always do a motion to dismiss when you believe you have a frivolous case if you can't dismiss the case and if it's going to be a waste of fucking time and money. You don't do it. Why would you waste money spending money on filings or spend, like, when you just want to get to discovery instead of wasting time and paying your attorneys to file a filing that is going to be a waste. You're probably going to do the legal research anyway on fair use, but might as well just not annoy the judge, not get into, and it's a thing you're going to lose, and then you're going to bandy around the denied motion to dismiss as an optical win. And so I think it totally makes sense for you in that context not to waste time, money, and a potential optical win on a failed motion to dismiss, and just get right to the answer and then go right to discovery. What's the problem?
The judge, this is so frivolous that I will just set the facts straight for you. And it's so obviously fair.
Now
Set
we'll
the facts straight in a motion to dismiss. That's not what a motion to dismiss is for. You don't
His lawyers
get to put
filed
up additional
lawsuits like they
facts
committed the
at a
biggest
motion to
state heist in history and got away with it.
You have to,
Sorry.
Huh, fancy that.
His lawyers file lawsuits like they committed the biggest state heist in history and got away with it. Wait, is that what Pisco just said? I mean, look, this is the whole thing is like, you know, I think given the dearth of case law, Ethan could have grounds, right? I don't know if Pisco's saying that he's like morally in the right, given how petty this lawsuit is to begin with. But like as far as like my prediction of the result of this lawsuit, I mean, I said before I thought it was 50-50. Again, I and Pisco are missing the information of the actual nature of Denims' reaction. Ethan's lawyer. Oh God, yeah. You're right. Ram Barnisam is. Wait, is he? Oh, sorry, not Ram, but Ram's partner is a. I don't want to say too much about this, right? Because we're talking about lawyers here, and if I say the wrong thing, I could be on, the next to get sued. But yeah, there was the lawyer, the partner of Ethan's lawyer, Ram Barnisam, was indeed part of the what was it called? The MDE scandal, biggest heist in the history of Malaysia, or biggest Fuck, I'm trying to remember what this was all about, but she allegedly, definitely big allegedly here, because I can't even remember a lot about this, but yeah, the lawyer that he hired is somebody that's involved with somebody who was involved in a huge scandal in Malaysia. A heist is maybe the wrong word for it, but fraud, I guess it was fraud, right? Allegedly.
The facts as alleged, the well-pleaded facts in the complaint already shows you're a fucking idiot. You don't know what motion dismiss is.
That we don't need to waste anyone's time going any further than this. They did not file a motion to dismiss, which means the attorney looked at the facts and considered them all, that they all have merit, and that there was
No, that is precisely the opposite of what a motion to dismiss posture would be, is to say, oh, all these facts have merit, that's why I'm not doing motion to dismiss. No, the motion to dismiss stage is assuming the facts, the well-pleaded facts. Do you have a legal case? That's motion to dismiss, not what you just said, which is like literally the opposite.
Way in hell a judge would grant a motion to dismiss. That is essentially...
Yeah, exactly. The Malaysian guy, movie guy that jacked money to make movies in America. Yeah, she's the senior partner of that law firm. No shame in calling out Ethan's stupidity. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, he's selling... This is wrestling. This is kayfabe politics, right? I know people are tired of hearing me compare Ethan and his rhetoric to Trump, but this is what I'm talking about, right? It is built for public consumption. It is not maybe even geared towards the efficacious pursuit of Ethan's copyright claim, right? That's something that they're willing to risk in favor of, I don't know, what he thinks he's doing, providing content, creating a villain, and giving, an update on the story of, his fight against this, the evil Denims who did CPS and is very stupid. And what else does he say about Denims? Like a lot of shit, right? 1MDB. Thank you. That's what it was called. This is the Tiffany He, aka Haley Yu, is on a list of wanted individuals, says play something, by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission. Yeah, and it's kind of weird that she wasn't, maybe weird that she wasn't like held for questioning and prosecuted in the first place, right? It's 100%. Oh, and the malicious lawsuit. Yeah, you know what they're doing to Kilmar Abrejo Garcia right now, chat? They have basically made it clear that if they seek extradition, or sorry, not extradition, they seek to deport him to, oh my God, wasn't Sudan, Uganda. Yeah. They seek to deport him to Uganda. They are pressuring him right now to plead guilty, right? Which, here's the deal. Like, Trump's fucking case has no merit. All right? Has no merit, but a lot of the legal system now is trumped up. A lot of this legal system has been infected by fascism. And so you can't count on a law. But in order to sell this shit, right, what Trump really wants is for Garcia to make a plea bargain to say, you know, we'll deport you to this, you know, safer country rather than deporting you to Uganda if you say you're guilty, which you're not. If you lie and chat, this happens all the fucking time. It is not the exception that an innocent person pleads guilty, chat. It is the rule. And you would too. You would too. Put in a position where you're accused of a crime that you didn't commit, and the prosecution is threatening you with life in prison or 5 years, right? Most people, most lawyers would be like, for fuck's sake, take the 5 years. Don't risk it. Our law system is so fucked up, and the plea system is a big part of that, right? And under Trump, it's getting even more corrupt. It's getting even worse. And yeah, I mean, like, this is the same thing with Denims, right? You know, maybe it seems like a safer bet for her to settle the case, right? Even though, you know, she's convinced that she did what she did in fair use, right? This would be there's a lot of pressure, and this isn't even a criminal suit. This isn't even a criminal lawsuit like the I think the Garcia, the Garcia case is. Senator Holland is in physical contact, with Kilmar now, speaking to him and his wife. I hope that they get Kilmar some good lawyers. Former banker at Swiss BSI, Yo Xiaowei, pleaded guilty to money laundering. This was the this was the main person in the 1MDB case. Yo was already serving a 30-month term on charges of destroying evidence during the investigation into illicitly transferring funds linked to 1MDB.
A confession.
It is a confession! It's a confession, he says! It's a confession! Because you didn't move to dismiss, it's a confession. Deranged.
That the lawsuit is not frivolous. Because if it was, then
I'm under the impression, I don't know, like I stepped away for a second to grab some rice and kale here. Wait a minute. Is this kale or is this Chinese broccoli? I can't actually tell. Anyway, it's delicious, whatever it is. But did Pisco already go over the fact that she absolutely could still file a motion to dismiss? She what did she do? I'm trying to remember. Okay, Zara explained this to me this morning. Let me see if I can remember enough of it to explain it to you. She has basically said in her filing that Ethan did not make a claim. Ethan's lawyers did not, clarify the claim, right? And so one of her, one part of her filing is pointing out to the judge, hey, they didn't, there's no claim here, right? There's not an actual fucking, concrete claim. And, they send this to the judge. The judge makes the determination. Is Denims' lawyer right? Did they fail to, to do that? And if they did, then he talks to Ethan's lawyer and says, hey, you need to amend your filing. All right. Because as is, this is getting thrown out. So I'm going to give you one more chance to amend, to add something to your filing to clarify what the fuck you were actually claiming, because this is a bunch of gobbledygook. This is a bunch of nonsense, right? And so, that's what's happening next. And if Ethan's lawyer, if their amendment, if the judge, decides in Denims' lawyer's favor on that, and then Ethan, the amendment is not sufficient, that's when the case could get thrown out. Yeah, there absolutely is a pathway for dismissal of this lawsuit. So in addition to, I'm disagreeing with Pisco's initial assessment that it was fairly likely that Ethan will end up winning this case. I don't think that Pisco's even watched Denims's, her response to the content nuke to even know the nature of the supposed infraction material, right? And you know, but you know, now I'm going to say there's a chance that this case doesn't even make it to court, not because Denims settles, but because it gets thrown out.
Filed motions to dismiss. That would have been a no-brainer. They didn't do it.
No, something could be factually frivolous, in which case a motion to dismiss wouldn't help you.
The lawyer said, let's not even do that. Let's save money, right?
Let's save money. No, let's not waste money or time or give you an optical win on a case that's not dismissible.
Chance of winning. So that's interesting. The other interesting thing about this is that they did not file any counterclaims. We were expecting.
Again, for the counterclaims, my understanding is the ones that were bandied about
them to try to file
defamation,
counterclaims, which means
they're not mandatory counterclaims. You could bring them in another form that you thought was more advisable. Maybe you don't think that they have much merit. So they're not mandatory counterclaims because they don't relate to the same set of facts. One is an infringement case. The other are statements have nothing to do with infringement. So they're not mandatory counterclaims. You could amend the answer if you wanted to. And maybe those claims don't have any merit. Maybe you don't want to pay for them. There's a bunch of reasons why you might do a counterclaim. But it is true they didn't include the counterclaim. They probably could have, assuming that there's some, the jurisdictional hooks are there.
It would include in the response some ridiculous trumped up defamation or something. Just something to get.
They're not mandatory counterclaims, and so you can't read that much into it.
Give them leverage against us to be like, oh, see, now they have to deal with.
I pretty much have to go to this thing now, but just to give you a taste of how deranged this take is. And for me to comment and be like, yeah, this is deranged. It's soy as hell to go on a stream with no research, not having any clue what these legal filings are, what an answer is, and to act like it's a fucking confession that you win on everything. Now, you might win on everything because you have a strong case for infringement, but that doesn't mean that it's not any less soy for you to do this kind of shit. And for everyone to talk shit about me because I bring it up and because I actually do my job and have an even-handed response, in my opinion, even-handed, fair, analyzing the facts in the case. And the only thing you get in response is, go suck on Hassan's nuts. The only thing you have in response are attacks on my character, smears, shit like that, like you're no good, I'm better than Mike from PA. When I'm telling you the facts and no one has said anything to counteract what I'm saying, that Ethan is dead wrong. If it was not that big of a deal, just say, yeah, you're right about this. You're right. It is fucking soy. But they can't do that because of the narrative, because of the in-group preference, that kind of shit. And so that's why I covered it, and I'm absolutely correct. And I challenge anyone to say that what I'm saying here is not completely, totally correct.
All right. That is DGG's law tuber Pisco. And I hope to someday clarify his his current title, his current claim, as maybe not DGG's law tuber, because from what I've been seeing, he's not very popular in DGG anymore. He's definitely not. He's definitely one of the people that Destiny is hating on and dislikes, and yeah, I just don't know if he how he feels about the DGG community itself.